Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka. Here. Councilwoman Mazer. Due to family obligations, she's unable to be here this evening. Councilman Halka.
Here.
Councilman Camilleri. Here. Council President Concha.
Here. Please rise to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on August 1st, 2013, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddle Brook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
I need a motion to open up to the public. Motion by Mr. Samaluka. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri. All in favor? The meeting is now open to the public. Anyone like to be heard? Please state your name, address. Sure, that's. So let's wait for the mayor real quick. Give him a couple seconds. Give him a couple seconds. Okay.
Peter, 11608 North America. I would just like to apologize to Mayor Chamberlain and to the council for the attack. It seemed like I was attacked last month. I was a little apology being the last flood that I had. It is a 14-year problem. I made the assumption that our engineer did tell her, because I do see him on a monthly basis being on the planning board. It was my mistake, and I do apologize for that. Also, I want to thank you for coming this previous Monday to my home to look at the problem. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. That being said, where do we stand? I didn't there, but I listened. I wasn't home.
It was spontaneous because the engineer. It was spontaneous because the engineer was in town on other projects. They stopped by. I had spoken to him after the last meeting.
Right.
So spontaneously, Mike Calderon, Rob, and I went over there. We walked to Rosario Court. We were by your house.
The stream.
The stream.
Okay.
And Rob will further go on about the complicated efforts that have
Right.
been made the last 11 years by virtue of county, public service, railroad. So
Mosquito
that you're
commission.
aware of, I'm sure, but
Yes.
Rob will update. Meantime, we took a walk over because Mike had called you on the phone.
Right, I wasn't home.
We walked over across the street to the culvert. The culvert's completely grounded over just about. I mean, there's like 6 inches left for storm waters to go into the culvert. There's the 36-inch pipe there that really is. And now I understood the backlash you're getting, just like the Saddle River from
Right.
south to north. So I had said to Mike and Rob, I said, look, we can't wait for all these agencies to handle a problem almost instantaneous that has been taken years to discuss. So to move forward, at least for some relief, is I asked Mike if we can even get the DPW to dig that out.
Okay, great.
Dig it out, clear it out. Rob has, of course, another method of engineering. It's probably an easement to a property owner there who Rob was supposed to get in contact with. But regardless of whatever, that's the plan. Let's get that opened up. I would hope that would be the solution to your problem, but I don't.
I hope so.
I would say maybe not, but if it helps alleviate to a small degree.
Right.
But we're on it now. We have the equipment, and that's what I'd like to do. And Rob, if you want to pick up from there, please.
We set up a meeting actually for Tuesday of next week with the county to get this, but it's a little more complicated.
Right, I understand.
Obviously, the railroad's involved, Elmwood Park is involved,
Mosquito commission.
Fairlawn is involved, but we set up a meeting to get it started. I sent out an email, I guess it was yesterday, after we met to get Joe Femier and stuff. So it is back in motion, but we're gonna need a little bit of help to get this snowball pushed up the hill.
Right.
All right?
That's all I can
And again,
ask.
maybe you should be there. I mean, if.
But Robert, in the meantime, I still want to move forward with the culvert. I don't think
That's a
there's,
separate, I'm looking at the bigger picture, the
Right.
long-term issue.
well, we're simultaneously working on it. And as I said at last month's meeting, if you had come to me directly, because many times I'm not the best of emailers, and many times if the engineer doesn't pick up the phone or stop, and he's working on the project, as, you know, maybe with the attorney or auditor, if I'm addressed personally, I try to be proactive and get out there.
Thank you.
But thank you, and you didn't have to apologize.
No, I was a little, I
No
was very hot
apologies
under the collar.
accepted.
And you guys didn't know. It was wrong of me what I did. because
Thank
I
you,
was
PJ.
a little hot, but you weren't here. You should have been yelled at. You were the one I
I'm
wanted
here
to
tonight.
yell
Go
at.
right ahead.
Not the mayor and the council, you. I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Adam Mucci, 86 Nettelec Drive. I've come here tonight as a parent of two children, ages 10 and 7. With another summer winding down, I am troubled by the lack of a summer recreation program in Saddle Brook. As per my knowledge, we are the only town in Bergen County that does not offer one. To be quite honest, I am troubled by the lack of importance and consistency the recreation program has had in this town over the last 12 years I have lived here. I moved here in 2001. I started volunteering coaching in 2004 with no children in a program. And since 2001, we have had 6 different recreation directors in 12 years. I grew up in a town that has had 3 recreation directors in 40 years, one of those on a 1-year term. I believe the lack of consistency in recreation directors has hurt the community and our children. A recreation director should not be a politically affected position. A recreation director should be a full-time paid position that is rehired based upon a contract of a certain number of years that does not coincide with elections, not an appointed position. That person should be qualified with a degree in recreation. In regards to the summer recreation program, I am not just coming to this meeting and aimlessly picking a topic and choosing to have this be my rant for the evening. No, I came here last fall with solutions. I am friends with the recreation director where I grew up, so last fall I asked him for a copy of their summer program booklet, as well as its financial impact on the township. What I discovered was the program was almost identical to the one that I enjoyed as a child 30 years ago. A safe place for our kids to go to play ball, make arts and crafts, or play games. The program is run by counselors who are in high school or college who are paid. They also go on a trip a week to many different theme parks, from Wild West City to the Land of Make-Believe, Dorney Park, or the zoo. The best part of this program is it is almost completely self-sustaining. How is that possible? Well, each child pays a one-time $75 registration fee for 7 weeks and has to pay for any trips they decide to go on, but that is it. It costs the township about $8,000. They have about 400 kids that sign up, and that covers the rest of the supplies: balls, bats, arts and crafts, insurance, games, and the counselors' salaries. They also have counselors in training that do not get paid, who put the time towards their community service requirements in hopes that they get a paying counselor job the following year. The whole program is overseen by the full-time paid recreation director. The town government feels that $8,000 is a nominal fee to give back to all of the children in the community. It also keeps our children busy, giving them summer employment. The younger kids have experiences they will remember for the rest of their lives. I believe in this program because I went through it and was also a counselor 2 different summers when I was home from college. In closing, the children need to be a bigger priority in Saddle Brook. I do not blame anyone sitting up here. As a matter of fact, I believe pointing fingers is, well, pointless. The only way I and many others will be satisfied is by the actions of our township. For too long, I have heard from people who have grown children in the community say, "Move while you still can. Things will never change." Well, I own a business in town. I like my home and I want to stay. But it is time to move forward with actions, not words. No more thermometers with empty promises, okay? No more fields, incomplete fields with no drainage. Our children deserve better. Thank you. This is a topic that is very important to me. And I think all it takes is a little effort. I'm not looking to be a recreation director in any way, but I will help in any way I can to get this program started. And I think that our children deserve this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to be heard?
Larry Ratajczak, 92 Claremont Ave. First, I'd like to commend Mr. Lynch and the planning board for doing a job that I think the council should have done, and setting the tone or setting the rules down that the county should apply by or play by when they want to do something in our town. Like I said, you people are the main board, and you thought it was going to be a slam dunk and everything was going to go there. The residents didn't want that there. I mean, I'm tired of us bailing one person, or we're going to see tonight how the agenda is dominated by one person or one developer in this town, that we bend over backwards and get nothing from. Okay, the planning board at least had the nerve, I would use another word but I'm here, to stand up to them and say, look, this is our town, you're going to do it our way, you're going to play by the rules, and you're going to take the proper procedure. The other thing I'd like to make notice to is you pay attention to the people that are going to be appointed in January to the planning board. You're going to see how many are not going to be reappointed that went against this project. And then we'll get all the rubber stamps in there and that project will be approved. In the meantime, we bought something that's going to sit there. We're getting no revenue for it. We should put it up for sale and just do away with it. Like I say, hopefully we met our co-obligation. I think that was supposed to be answered tonight or whatever, and we can get out of that and just use Russell Lane where our money is, where it wouldn't cost us anything over there. Like I say, you'll see how he dominates. He's getting 2 refunds on Mayhill Street and Finnegan Avenue, which are both rental properties. On Tuesday night, Mr. Mulsack said that he did not say that rentals were up. He did tell us, and we can look back on any of the tapes where he did mention it, that rentals should not get tax appeals because the values of their property was up. He's getting 2 tax appeals there. We're also taking a street and dedicating the street. I asked the council to get something for that, which most towns do, get from that developer. Like I said, we need $400,000 for a matching grant at Sampson Street. You people said that you were going to look out and we'll see what we'll get from him. So before we vote on that tonight, please let us know what we're getting from that developer. Like I said, he just does whatever he wants to do, or we bend over backwards for him. The other issue that I had last time I spoke was the police overtime. Mr. Lagita gave me a copy of the police overtime, and I'm sure you people get these same overtimes. If you were running a business and you've seen what your overtime costs were, 1 or 2 things are happening here. Either we're having a lot of murders or a lot of crime, which we don't have, or we are very short on manpower. When you can spend $15,000 in 2 weeks on overtime, you have a problem. You have a manpower problem. And if you don't bring that TO up or with patrolmen, you're still going to keep paying this. The money that we're wasting in overtime is crazy. And the reason that we're spending it on overtime is because we don't have the manpower. So we're forced to keep our guys time and a half, double time on, I don't know how their contract is, but I mean, just look at the numbers here. The numbers are crazy. That, like I say, that's the part of the business that you people should be looking over and saying, look, overtime's killing us. We need to hire cops. We need to do this. We need to do that. You people don't do anything. You just wait. And I mean, like I say, the auditor should bring that to your attention and say, look, guys, after 3 months, the overtime's here. Look where it is here. Look what's happening here. Like I say, he just sat back, said $100,000 was enough to hire the 3 cops, then it wasn't enough. And then he said it finally was enough to hire the cops. The other thing on the paving project that you're talking about with the streets, I mean, I know you mentioned Cambridge, I don't know what the other, Sylvan Street or the other, Mr. Costa, and this Roseman over here. Is that gonna get curbing also so that looks like a street and you don't have that back out parking and you don't have the 50-foot driveway where everybody can cut into? Or we're just gonna do a hack job and Just lay blacktop there. If we're gonna do it right, or don't do it at all. Okay, don't waste the money on just putting blacktop over the top there, because you're not gonna solve anything. You can't have cars backing out from that beauty salon business or that limousine company. There's no curbs there. There's no set roadway. I mean, half the people in town don't even think that is a road, but it is a township road. And here we are looking to take this one over here. We can't handle the ones we have. Let's fix the ones that we have first, make them look like that. Then we'll move forward and take other roads like that. Also, I noticed, like I said, last year with the storm that we had a lot of downed trees and we had a lot of damage from trees. We have no tree program in town. If you ride through the town and just look at all of the dead trees, no leaves on them now. I mean, the trees should have leaves. They're the ones that are gonna come down first. They're the ones that are gonna take the power lines down. We don't have a chipper. We don't have a bucket truck. We don't have anything. We're not prepared for anything. We are not prepared for anything. We have to call. About a month ago or whatever, there was a branch hanging on our block. I called the DPW. We had to call an outside contractor in to do that. These are jobs that we can do. Just buy the equipment. Without the equipment, the guys can't do the work. And I mean, a town of our, in today's world, you gotta have them 2 pieces of equipment. You have to have them. We can't cut a tree down. I mean, we're like helpless. We should be able to do that. So like I said, there's a lot of things that we should be doing that we're just neglecting, and we're taking on all of these other projects. We never finish a project. We get to a project, we hit a dead end, well, we can't do nothing here. This pipe's backwards. We can't do nothing here. This road's this way. You know what, let's do the little things first, and then worry about getting the big ones. But like I say, just do yourself a favor and ride through the town. Don't worry about the people's streets. Just worry about the ones that the township is responsible for. And you'll see how many dead trees there are just hanging. And like I say, when we do get the storms or whatever, they're the ones that are gonna knock the power down. And other than that, like I said, I just hope that you tell us what we're getting from this developer if you do take that street on, the Maple Street, what we're getting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Johnston. I live on Victor Street. I just heard something about the water meters. Now, if I sell my house, I have to pay $200 for the new water meter in my house? When was that passed? No answers? Nobody knows?
No. Give us a second, please.
Approximately 4 to 5 years ago, that was passed.
How about nobody ever knew anything about it until the other day? This friend of mine was moving out and they had to put up $200 to pay for the new water meter.
That's been in effect for a number of years. That's been in effect for a number of years.
Well, nobody ever mentioned it before. What is it, hidden under the carpet?
An ordinance that was passed and adopted.
All right, well, thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard? No, seeing none? I need a motion to close. Motion by Mr. Samaluka, second by Mr. Halco. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is now closed to the public.
Amendments of budget.
As of this afternoon, the punch list from the division was cleared, and one of the requirements, one of the last things had to do with the reserve fund collected taxes, among some other just miscellaneous adjustments. That being the most significant, it was increased by $150,000. Okay, the fact that that was in excess of 10% of the amount that was in there, that triggers an advertisement of the amendment prior to adoption. Okay, some of the factors that were taken into consideration was the amount taxes, current taxes outstanding at 12/31/12, and a number of the tax appeals that are pending. So, with that being said, they
Please, keep it down. Thank you.
They wanted your reserve increased to $750,000, which was a $150,000 increase. With that, you can advertise and you're cleared for adoption with 3 days lead time, with that being in the paper. you'll have a hearing on the amendment items only, and then you can proceed to final adoption.
Just explain that again as to what that
There's a few small
How that would
items in the
affect the
amendment, but the
taxpayers
big
and
ticket was the reserve for uncollected taxes. You had come in at $600,000. And that's pretty much been your consistent number for the past few years. They wanted to raise to $750. Your delinquent your delinquent accounts at December 31st, 2012 were higher than normal over the past couple of years. I explained that there was they had some difficulties with the tax sale, and some of the cash collections didn't come in until came in at 13. They just didn't make it by December 31st. They took that into consideration. Plus, the big thing is the statewide problem of tax appeals. Saddle Brook being a victim of tax appeals for quite some time. They want to ensure that there's sufficient amount of cash to support your budget. So they required another $150,000 to your reserve for uncollected taxes. That's the item that triggered the advertisement. Otherwise, you'd be able to amend tonight.
And that won't affect the tax rate.
No.
And it doesn't affect us adopting the budget, correct?
It just requires an advertisement of the resolution,
Okay.
a hearing,
Special meeting?
a hearing on the amended items only, and then the same night you can proceed to adoption.
Okay.
And you just need 3 days lead time from publication to the meeting, to the hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
Just on it, do we have a tentative date for the
Monday,
meeting?
August 19th, so yeah.
This way it'll be on the TV in time, and if people want to come, they'll know about it.
Through the chair to the auditor.
7 p.m.? Is it?
7 p.m.
Yes.
And the date of advertisement, we know when we'll get it in?
I'm going to get it to the paper tomorrow, hopefully
for
it'll be
Monday?
Monday.
Frank, is that sufficient, 7 days?
Yeah,
3 days.
that'd be enough. The third page of it, Pete, has the meeting notice date, so we gotta handwrite that in the blank. I'm sorry.
Frank, I'd like you to explain to the general public the reason why, once again, the tax bills are going out late. And for those that are watching, again, the tax bills should be out once the council has the meeting on the 19th and the budget passes. What's your estimated time of delivery to our residents?
Well, they're going to fax the certification to the county immediately. You'll be expedited at that point. And then it's just the time to getting them printed, folded in the mail, and out the door. So it's a week to 10 days.
A week to 10 days. So we're possibly looking at September 1st, at
we'll
least.
figure by the end of August.
Which means the tax bills are going out September 1st. Everyone will have their 30 days to pay.
Yep.
And the drawback here is that November 1st, the next round of taxes are due.
Yep.
Now, explain to the public and the reason why the delay in the past few years. I know this year not only added to some backlash we had here, but added was Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah,
If you can
were-
elaborate so that the public can understand, because average person, they want to pay their tax bills on time. They don't want to have to worry that next month they have another one.
They'll be on time, so there's nothing that'll be late. It's just that there's just a general delay in reviewing budgets. You were not on local review this year. You were on division review, which means that you were put in line, and fortunately, the Sandy towns were given a priority in front of everybody else. So.
Explain the difference to the public, maybe into the mic, about the difference of being on local review versus.
Well, local review limits it to the CFO's review of the budget, and you really don't have to involve Trenton. There's a checklist that's given to him that it's basically handled internally. Division review is the Division of Local Government Services handling the review of your budget, requesting documentation, having questions, getting information, passing information back and forth. They're understaffed, things like that. So there's a shortage of examiners. You're in local review. You got a lot of Sandy towns. There's a number of towns that have not have not adopted yet that are still under review, so it's just the way it is this year. So no one's late officially, your tax is not gonna be late, your 30-day grace period is all in effect, everything is normal, you're just delayed in getting the bills out, that's all.
And hopefully next year, we should be back to local
You're on
review.
local review next year.
And we know that automatically, so next year's
Yeah, your
bills
group-
will go
which is-
out on time.
Yeah, they go by groups.
They go by
Your group
groups.
is in local review next year.
Thank you, Frank.
Any other questions for the auditor? Okay. So seeing none, I need a motion. I need a motion to amend the budget.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Halko, I need a second, please.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes. Okay. Now we're gonna go to ordinances.
We have ordinance 1545-13, an ordinance of the Township of Saddle Brook accepting the street known as the Mayhill Street Extension, which has been tabled to tonight.
I just have a question, the performance bond, or does it need to be a bond?
It's gotta be subject to a performance
We
guarantee.
don't have it.
We don't have that yet?
I don't know if that's, I mean, it has to be subject to, actually, a maintenance, in this case, it would be a maintenance bond, it would be 15% of the performance.
So realistically, before we adopt this, that bond's gotta be in place, correct?
I don't know if it could be done after the fact, but certainly before. I don't, honestly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's more of a legal question than a engineering.
Well, I have a conflict, so I can't give an opinion on that.
I'm gonna make a
I
suggestion,
answer-
since we don't really know, table it till next month.
If that's a motion, I'll
There's a motion
second
to
it.
table it. We get the
I'll second it,
information and the
'cause we need the
documentation.
information, we just can't jump without knowing where we're jumping to.
Councilman Samaluka to table?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes. So there is three.
Ordinance 1552-13, final reading, a bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various sanitary sewer system improvements in by and for the Township of Saddle Brook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $100,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds for second reading.
I need a motion, please.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Samaluka,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Halco. Roll call, please.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
A bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various sanitary sewer system improvements in by and for the Township of Saddle Brook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $100,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
I'll make a motion, we open to the
Need a
public.
motion. Motion by Mr. Halco,
Second.
second by Mr. Samaluka. Roll call. Oh,
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
yes.
It's open to.
This ordinance is open to the public. Anyone like to be heard? Only on this.
Make a motion to close.
Need a motion to close.
You made a motion, I'll second it.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddle Brook that the ordinance entitled, a bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various sanitary sewer system improvements in by and for the Township of Saddle Brook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $100,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. This is now passed on second and final reading, and that the township clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of said ordinance according to law.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
Ordinance 1553-13 for a final reading. An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 75 Buildings, Unsafe of the Code of the Township of Saddle Brook to provide for the waiver of fees for any demolition permit for any single-family or two-family dwelling if the Saddle Brook Fire Department utilizes the same for training purposes.
I'll make a motion.
I need a motion. Motion by Mr. Halco.
Second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 75 Buildings, Unsafe of the Code of the Township of Saddle Brook to provide for the waiver of fees for any demolition permit for any single-family or two-family dwelling if the Saddle Brook Fire Department utilizes the same for training purposes.
Make a motion open for public.
Motion.
Second that.
Second by Mr. Samaluka. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is open to the public, chapter 1553-13 for second reading.
Make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddle Brook that the ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 75 Buildings, Unsafe of the Code of the Township of Saddle Brook to provide for the waiver of fees and for any demolition permit for any single-family or two-family dwelling if the Saddle Brook Fire Department utilizes the same for training purposes, is now passed on second and final reading, and that the Township Clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of said ordinance according to law.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Samaluka, second by Mr. Halco. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Just make a comment that the amount of money that we would not be taking in for the rare demolition permits that we have is more than outweighed by the public safety from our fire department being able to utilize the property for training purposes, because you can't pay enough for that kind of training. You never know when it's going to come into in need. So I'm certainly in favor of this, and I vote yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
First reading 1554-13, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 106, handicap parking of the Code of the Township of Saddle Brook to provide for handicap parking spaces at two locations. First reading.
First reading. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Halco.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri. Roll call. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddle Brook that an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 106, handicap parking of the Code of the Township of Saddle Brook to provide for handicap parking spaces at two locations be heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the 12th day of September 2013 at 7 o'clock p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of a time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Halco.
Second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
Ordinance 1555-13, first reading. Ordinance amending Chapter 196 entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 43, entitled Schedule 10, Stops Intersections to include Wilson Street and Oak Street. The first reading.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Camilleri.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Halco. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddle Brook that an ordinance amending Chapter 196 entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 43 entitled Schedule 10, Stop Intersections to include Wilson Street and Oak Street, heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the 12th day of September 2013 at 7:00 p.m. or sooner after, as the matter can be reached at the municipal building, 93 Market Street. And at such time and place, all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Motion, any motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Halco. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri.
Councilman Samaluka?
I just wanted to say something. I am not a big fan of four-way intersections or four-way stop signs. I think a lot of times it causes a lot of confusion. No one seems to know what to do. People they stop, they go, they don't know who has the right of way. However, I'm going to vote yes for the first reading, but what we discussed at the work session on Tuesday was we have our two top officers here that we're going to present it to them to see the actual numbers of accidents at that location, or maybe even they have records of near accidents, people that have complained that I almost got hit over there. The other thing would be to look into possibly what's called a speed table. I think we discussed this when we were talking about the issue on, was it President Street? Yeah, on President Street, to do speed tables. We worked that with extra stop signs and no left turn signs. This may be the perfect place for a speed table. We're gonna look into that and the cost, and I know our engineer is gonna be giving us some figures on costs, but I will vote yes for the first reading.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or member so requests it, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of minutes and applications. Not part of the consent agenda would be the minutes, resolution number 5, and resolutions 7, 8, 9, and 10.
I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Samaluka.
Second.
Second by Mr. Halco. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
We have the minutes of July 11th, 2013.
I need a motion. Do we want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Camilleri, second by Mr. Halco.
Councilman Samaluka?
Abstain.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
We have the resolution for purchases over $2,500.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Samaluka. Need a second?
I have to abstain from this because it's money for the fire department's convention, and I am the secretary of the Relief Association, so I see it as a possible conflict, so I need to abstain from this.
Second by Mr. Camilleri.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Abstain.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
We have approval of the payment of bills.
Need a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Samaluka. Need a second?
No, I'll second.
Mr. Halco?
I've got to abstain. I don't say. I can't say.
They're not including the three that are,
No, they're all different, just the payment of bills. We're doing each one separately.
Separately.
Okay, all right.
So I need a second?
I'll do a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri.
Councilman Samaluka?
yes.
Councilman Halco?
Abstain.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
We have the approved payment of bills, Costa Engineering.
Need a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Camilleri, second by Mr. Halco.
Councilman Samaluka?
Abstain.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
Approve payment of bills, corner nursery.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Halco,
Second.
second by Mr. Simon.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes.
And approve payment of bills, non-electrical.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Halco.
Second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Abstain.
Okay, then we have, that's it for the consent agenda. Have mayor's appointment.
Mayor's appointment.
Mayor's appointment, appointment Director of Public Safety, Louis V. Dominio, effective August 8th and expiring December 31st, 2014. The council requests that the council give their advice and consent to this appointment.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Samaluka, second by Mr. Halco. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Never in a million years did I think this would happen, but yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
No.
Council President Conti?
Yes. Okay.
Swear them in now.
Mayor, swear.
Pete, you
Swear
swear
in
them
now?
now, but
I, Louis V. D'Arminio,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United
of the
States
United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New
and the
Jersey,
State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and
and
allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the government
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and will perform my duties
and will perform my duties
as Director of Public Safety
as Director of Public Safety
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations on taking over the position for $1 a year. Good luck.
Let me just thank the council and the mayor for giving me the opportunity to take on this position. I want to make it perfectly clear that the chief of police will be in charge of the day-to-day operations of the department. However, we will bring some continuity back to the police department and make it a department that we can certainly move forward. The chief and I, for those who you don't know, maybe Mr. Camilleri you don't know, when we worked together as I was mayor, we were able to accomplish many things. We built a police department. We not only built it, we had to staff it. We not only had to staff it, we had to come in under budget. We made promotions, we made hirings, and we accredited our police department, which is equivalent from a college to a university. We have a very good police department. We are definitely short on manpower. I came back here a month ago or so, and the mayor and I have been talking about the conditions of the police department for the past several months. I will come back to the town council and ask the mayor and council to set the reset button so that we can reevaluate the needs of this department. I'm going to ask the auditor to find the money to hire the police officers to fill that table of organization. Not doing it is akin to driving a car without insurance. We need to have the manpower, the TO, back up to staff. That's what I will be working with the chief and his command staff, and that's what I will come back and report back to the mayor and council. We're going to look at this with a third pair of eyes, another pair of eyes, and come back and report to the township of Saddle Brook. That's what we're here to do. I have a track history with the police department. I don't expect that to ever change. I have a great number of years with the police department, and I was a former mayor of this township, so I'm fully aware of what the needs of this township need, and we intend to implement that. With that, I was glad to see the chief and deputy chief here tonight, and we look forward to working together. I spoke with the chief earlier today and ran some ideas past him, and we're going to move forward. Again, I want to thank the mayor, the council, for your confidence in this appointment. Thank you very much.
Old business. Old business.
I have.
Any old business?
That we didn't talk about the other night? Let's see if I got notes here.
Just real quick. Anything, any old business while he's looking up his notes?
I have comments.
All right, Mayor, let's go to your comments.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank those who came up to the podium this evening. Respectfully so, to one of our seniors who has been here for a long time. I'd like to offer as best explanation as I can. I don't have the ordinance in front of me, and as our administrator had stated, it was a number of years ago when it was passed. Well, just to give you some background how all this happens, as you heard tonight, these ordinances go on the agenda. They're published in the newspapers. It takes a number of weeks, a few months before they pass. Now, how does the council determine new fees? Generally what happens, they get information from the planning board, it could be the zoning board, it could be the building department, it could be the courts. They come, those different agencies and bodies within the township of Saddle Brook, come to the council and say, look, we're not up to par equally with the other towns surrounding. And even though it's been a down economy, and if this ordinance, and we will check when it did come on the books, it was advertised in the paper. Of course, now today with the Open Public Meetings Act and the ability for the public to get information freely, it's always by virtue of computer, and it's unfortunate many people don't have computers, whether it's by choice or by financial position or because they just don't want to go there. How do you communicate it? You can only hope that it's communicated by local newspapers, like our community news reporter is here. But just to say, in order to keep up with the revenues that are supposed to help decrease property taxes, which never happens, those are the reasons the fees come out. And truly, it is a surprise. I've heard it from other residences, you know, like somebody's buying a new house, now they have to pay for a water meter. Now somebody is selling a house, and they have to pay another fee. It does appear unjust, but it is a common practice in local government. And I apologize, but I wanted to answer. Regarding recreation, I am very pro-recreation, and I understand our residents' thoughts, respect them, needs for this community. Many years ago, when I served as recreation director, the best that we were able to do for Saddle Brook was to open up Franklin School. I remember I had organized Washington School. We had the children outside. There was no air conditioning facilities because we were never permitted to go inside the building. If there was a rain date, it was canceled. Where are we today? I think today we are in the position of lack of money, bottom line. 5 police officers this year is not enough with the retirement of 3. Shortages there. Next year we need another 5. That goes into the budget. I am very interested in following the advice of our resident here this evening. I'm very interested if he would leave in my office the information how to run this program on $8,000 with the paid director and paid young students and with the course of volunteers. Throughout the years, recreation directors have come and gone, but again, either paid minimal, some have never taken any monies. We've done the best we could do. I'd like to do more. We have a new superintendent of schools. I think we should work more closely when we are working our budget sessions to go to the superintendent of schools and the board. We need collectivity on thinking where we can afford the dollars, move forward using their facilities, because we do not have adequate facilities. We would like to. Fairlawn was ready, okay, shared services. They still haven't gotten back to us with how much it would cost us. That would be the greatest place ever for Saddle Brook Recreation in the summer. They have the needs that we could meet for the children. One thing I'd like, and if our resident comes in with the information, I have had a lot of requests for water park in Saddle Brook. Now, Elmwood Park has a great one on Market Street and the Boulevard. Lodi has one. And many residents in this term right now have come up to me and said, hey, why can't we have a water park? Not everyone's financially blessed to have their own swimming pool or anything of that nature, and we've had a change in weather and whatnot. So along with the thought of recreating and bringing back a good, formidable summer program, I think we should also think about the water park, and we get our numbers together. Even though it's August, we're going to turn the corner and November comes and administrator and myself, department heads, meet for next year's budget. I mean, that's just 2 months away. So any info I can get from the public will be appreciated to go into it, and we could always meet at a later date. We had planned to, but conflicting. Oh, he does have it? Okay. Well, that'll be good. Can't promise it, the summer's over, but we'll work on it and stay connected. Another subject I'd like to bring up tonight is regarding the senior housing. Today's Shopper headlines read, "Senior housing on hold after funding falls through." Well, I have always been a great advocate of senior housing for those over 65, low income. I was hoping I was a force that could see this through from beginning to end. We've hit some road bumps. Yes, the planning board has done due diligence, as the council has, and now it's time to move forward. And as a matter of fact, before this article even came out, I had been on the phone with the individual who represents the Housing Development Corporation, Charlotte Vandervalk, who everyone's familiar with that name, I'm sure. She's been at council meetings, planning meetings. I had said to Charlotte, where are we? I don't want this project stalled. We were so close, and then I believe, and everyone's human, through lack of communications between three bodies or agencies, council, planning, and the housing authority, there may have been some parts of the plan that weren't acceptable, and again, as the residents stated, the planning board did their job. This is not a partisan issue, it's bipartisan. However, I did learn something new, and Kath, in here, and I believe this just came down, the funding, the next round of funding has now been put off to June of 2014. Okay? However, when I was speaking with Charlotte, they may have another avenue of funding to go to, that the development corporation is looking to set up a meeting in about another week because many of their members were on vacation. But I want to say this publicly. I want to fast track senior housing, I'm in favor of, and continue along the road to do it the legal and proper way as has been ascertained to the public by the planning board. The other item I'd like to bring up, today also in the newspaper, there were 2 articles. Passaic flood relief bill is signed. New Jersey faulted over plan to divert funds. Now, we all know this is an issue in Saddle Brook, the flooding of the river, the dredging of the river, the Army Corps of Engineers. We now have a new Congressman, Pasquarello. He has taken on the Army Corps of Engineers. He has taken on the DEP. He's the representative in Washington for our district here in Saddle Brook. He's doing all he can because he sees money going south because Sandy is the priority. My argument has always been 25 years, still nothing. I'm the mayor. I'm not promising any dredging because you know what? I have attended more flood meetings and more flood meetings and more flood meetings. What disturbs me now is reading in today's Bergen Record about a bill that was signed that dedicates $3 million for dredging for North Arlington, Lyndhurst, Rutherford, East Rutherford, Wallington, and Passaic. God bless those towns. I'm grateful the money is there for them. But what about Saddle Brook? What about Lodi? What about Fairlawn, Paramus, right up the line from north to south? Now, he and I attended a meeting with the congressman, and he feels that more monies need to come here, and there's too much going to those in South Jersey, and I think I said it at the last public meeting. Now, there's, here again, Pasquarello was in the paper today, that the governor wants to take about $130 million and put it back to general fund that should have been earmarked for flood, dredging, and cleanup. And now I'm reading that Lyndhurst, they're going to be moving the dioxins and the mercury and the PCBs. Well, Saddle Brook's always been told we can't dredge because we don't know where we're moving it to. How is it possible? Then just last week, I did receive a call from the governor's office asking if my name can be used to endorse the governor. Now, as you know, in Saddle Brook, this is a Republican form and Democratic form of government. You're an R, you're a D. I ran under the R ticket. Well, let me tell you, I told his campaign person, do not put my name as an endorsement to the governor. Why? I'm disturbed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. I told him, when it comes to Saddle Brook with a town hall meeting, all the times I've been reaching out, we're getting no place, we're getting no attention. So once again, and I've done this in the past 2 years, I asked Wanda, my assistant, send the request for the governor's meeting. Where it's going to go, I don't know. But I am asking the general public, I don't care how you do it, by virtue of email, whatever's out there, postage stamp, I'll give them out. Just stop at my store, write a letter. Complain to our state assembly people, our Senate, to Pasquarello's office. They have to start allocating these monies back to the Saddle River, not down to the Newark water basin. And if what is true in this paper, they can do the dredging and they can find places to remove it, well, let's do something for us. And you know what? I was talking to some officials or officials that are running. I said, I don't have a problem asking every contractor who got a contract from whether it be a freeholder board or a town council to do work in a town for public need, to bring the bulldozers out, put them on the county roads, drive into the river, get them to bring their equipment, a dump truck. Let's do it ourselves. Maybe then we'll get some action. It's too long. So please, I'm informing you as the meetings go by, what I'm hearing, who I'm speaking to, and what I'm reading, and it's not fair to this community. So get on board, even if we get, and council, I'll be having for the next public meeting resolutions that we're going to be letting our voices be heard. Thank you.
I'm gonna wrap everything into council comments.
Any new business? I do have something, another new business. Today, we were out on Popular, the meeting engineer, Mr. Costa. When our contractor did the work on Les Wing, they were dumping a lot of their garbage.
Correct.
On Popular. And we were out there with the contractor saying, I didn't dump it there. But meanwhile, I looked at it, and it was asphalt, crushed stone. Well, crushed stone is to fill the pits, or you're taking it out, correct? When you're digging, okay. I found cement. Meanwhile, he's still stating that's not his because there was leaves on top of it. I don't know if we have any bond money or whatever that's posted, but why can't we remove it ourselves and back charge the contractor? Because it's a disgrace over there.
Mr. President, we, when this came up, one of the piles, I guess, was left there. The majority of the material is gone. We put him on notice. We sent him a certified mailing. He has 5 days to respond. He responded by saying it's not his, it was done illegally. We gave him one last choice to go there this afternoon. He met us there. He said he's not doing it.
Nope.
So under the specification, we can hire an outside source, whether we do it in-house, outside, and we can back charge him. His final bill is not paid to date, so there's a bond, there's monies that are due him, so you're in control. So if the council says, go do it, tomorrow morning, we'll get 3 quotes, Pete, if we need 3 quotes, and get it cleaned up.
What are you talking to remove that? What do you think, to remove that?
How much could it be? Maybe $2,000 tops?
And he wouldn't do it for
He wouldn't
$2,000?
do that. You know, we also have to think about, in the future, having something going out to that contractor now. I mean, you know, you're leaving a mess and not owning up to your...
I would just, at this point, one has nothing to do with any future work. That's a whole separate issue,
I
whether
don't know
or
about
not.
that.
Well, again, I think just stay on point, stay on topic. Let's get this resolved, and if the council says, go for it. Pete, I just need to know whether or not we need 3 quotes, or can we say,
It's over 2,500, you need 3 quotes.
if it's an emergent situation because of, it's a public nuisance, it's a public health emergency, we'll deem it an emergency and get somebody there in the next few days and get rid of it.
Question, it seemed obvious that it would be him because he was working in that area, but is there any...
Today's not the day we want to die of a heart attack in the street screaming at one another. The law is on our side. I'm saying, we were getting nowhere with this gentleman.
Right.
So instead of arguing in the streets for no reason, the specs are very specific.
My question is, how assured are you that it's his garbage? Seems obvious, but is it?
Did I see him place it there? No. Will he fight it? Possibly.
It's the same material that was used in the construction?
Is it the type of material?
It looks as if, some of it certainly looks like it. Is it, could it be? Is it from another street? Asphalt is all over America. I mean, one could argue, for the price that we're talking about, is one going to take this full circle to a courtroom? I truly doubt it.
Well, there's a good chance that it will.
It could. It could.
So we just want to make sure that it is his garbage.
It's your opinion that it's his? If it's your opinion, then we'll go with that.
At the end of the conversation, I don't know if there was anybody near me, he said that it was possibly leaves that were left on the street that he placed there when he was doing the work.
I thought it was asphalt.
There's some asphalt mixed in. So there's construction debris, there's leaves.
Crushed stone.
But we're not talking hundreds of yards of material. It's probably one dump truck full of material.
Just through the chair.
Bob, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me anything you
Did
want.
the contractor haul away other
Yes,
debris?
yes,
And this specific debris,
Yes.
he refuses to haul away because he says it's not his?
yes.
A question to Rob. Do we know if any residents saw them dumping material there?
Yes. There was certainly, there was material there that certainly he said, obviously he did it, he put it there, he placed it there, and that's all removed.
But people did see him dumping stuff
Absolutely.
in that general area?
100%.
Absolutely.
All right, then let's go
Also,
for it then.
Pete,
Yeah,
while we
I
were
mean,
there.
if people saw it, let's go with it.
There was another bill, I believe, there was a power line going to the scoreboard that was knocked down inadvertently. The scoreboard is working, but there was a bill for, I think, $750 that was never paid. And again, that should be paid by him.
Contractor's responsible.
Right, which I was told today that it was never paid.
Just add it
So-
up and back charge them.
I think that's where we need to go.
I'm in favor of it.
I am too. We have to,
Motion.
I'll make a
Who's
motion.
the contractor? Want to make a motion?
I'll make a
Contractor's
motion.
name.
Is it
That we-
Garcia?
Garcia.
Garcia.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we back charge the contractor and get this, if we won't remove it.
Right. Motion by Mr. Halco, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Simulka. Let's do a roll call, please.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Council President Conti?
Yes. Okay, any other new business? Okay, let's do some, council comments first, and then we have to go into closed session, I believe. So let's do council comments first. Council comments, sure.
Peter, your water issues and that, I just hope that it gets taken care of. And it takes a big person to apology is accepted, thank you. Adam, recreation, you know I'm real big with recreation.
Absolutely.
4 kids, I've coached everything in town for many, many years, so I'll be behind you 100% to try to get something off the ground, and I hope we can. I'd like to even address Larry. You come to the meetings all the time, and I think that is a good thing, Larry. And you bring up some very valid points, even with that street. If we're gonna do it, I believe in doing it right, instead of doing it in the last 2 years and the macadam walks without curbing or something to hold it in. So if we're gonna spend money, let's do it right. A lot of times you bring up some very valid points. I wanted to say to Mrs. Johnson, I think there's absolutely nothing, we can do. If that's something that's been in effect for years, it's what it is, And the other one was, I wanted to congratulate Mr. Darminio, who kind of left the room right now. Yeah, and I just hope everything works out well. Those are all my comments, thank you.
Any other council comments? You wanna go on?
Yeah. In regard to recreation, I happen to speak, so it's no secret or anything like that. I did meet Adam a couple days ago, just coincidentally in the diner when he was eating with his children. And he did indicate that he was coming here. And I know that he did make a presentation last year maybe in regard to the same thing. Well, unfortunately with recreation, this has kind of been a lost summer. Let's just term it that. And I said it last year, 2 years ago, I am totally in favor of having a full-time recreation director. We have one former recreation director here. It's a thankless job. They do a lot of work, and it's almost impossible to do it on a part-time basis. Currently, the person that is the recreation director works, I think, 2 jobs, and is on the Board of Ed, and is also trying to do that. It's impossible to do it. And I think that we can take our cue. I'm from Lodi originally. Lodi's had the same person doing this for some 25 years. I don't think that Lodi has an indoor recreation center. I think almost everything they do is.
The Boys Club.
They utilize the Boys Club? Okay. Elmwood Park has their own huge building like that. I'm not sure if Hasbrook Heights has an indoor building that they can utilize. So, I mean, again, Hasbrook Heights seems like it would be the perfect model because they don't have a building, we don't have a building, other than the senior center, which we've talked about in past years is utilizing maybe the basement or something like that on days where it's not utilized by the seniors, that it would be a total recreation center. But I'm going to try and ask the council and see if we can get the funding and maybe advertise for a full-time recreation director. Now, this leads into the other thing. Recreation director costs money. Police officers cost money. Wood chippers cost money. So for everybody who wants a recreation program, you've got some people saying, we don't need a recreation center, we need more police. And for some people who say we need more police, they say, you know what, we need more equipment for the DPW. Well, we did pay, I think we bonded for a little less than $1 million last year for new DPW equipment. The wood chipper, I guess, didn't make the cut, but we are upgrading our equipment. And do we have every single piece of equipment necessary? Absolutely not. And that's why you have other towns to help out in certain things. In regard to the planning board, I know Mr. Lynch is here. He's the chairman of the planning board. They do a wonderful job. I was proud to be our council representative there for 2 years. It's not that the council dropped the ball. We all have different jobs in this whole process. And the ball got handed to the planning board, and they did their job, and they came up with certain criteria and requirements. And the county, and again, I've said it before, I think there was almost a sort of a bullying situation where they said, well, you got to do it our way or forget about it. And I guess forget about it was the right thing to do at that time. I agree with the mayor. I'm all in favor of this project. But you know what? It's got to be done the right way. And when we have our people making suggestions and making recommendations, you don't want somebody just dismissing them. And I got the letter that was sent by the attorney for that program, basically saying, no, forget about it. We don't, we're not going to do this. And I don't think that they put enough, my personal opinion, they didn't put enough effort into trying to make it work in the parameters that the planning board set out. In terms of the street, the Mayhill Street extension, what are we getting? We're getting $150,000 worth of improvements to the street. It was almost kind of a dirt road. They curbed it, they put aprons, they did some water improvements, some drainage improvements, and we got a brand new road over there. I think what people think is that, I think everyone looks at Paramus, because Paramus, if you recall, when they built whatever, 100, 200 townhouses or condos right near the Garden State Plaza, the developer did pay for, I don't know if he built it, but he did provide the funds for a ball field over there. And I think everyone looks at that and says, well, they did it, so every single thing needs to get, you need a developer. Well, developer is a guy who puts a single-family home on a single-family lot. Are we asking that guy, listen, you've got to pay for our uniforms for our Little League? It just doesn't work that way. And we did get a legal opinion from the attorney who said, and it's not Mr. Mulestock or anyone in his firm, it's totally away from that firm, so there is no conflict, that said we have to take it over. We really didn't have any choice. They did do it under our engineer's watchful eye, and we have a brand new street. So I have no problem with accepting that. In terms of the overtime, yes, we have a lot of overtime. But I'm looking here at some numbers, and in 2006, and I could be corrected, but I think in 2006, we pretty much had a full allotment of our officers. We were close to what the TO said in terms of how many officers we need. And we spent $65,000 in overtime. I can tell you, we'll never have a year where we don't have any overtime. We're always going to have overtime. And we can't look at it in a vacuum. Sure, we're paying money for overtime. However, if we weren't paying money for overtime and we had all the police in the world, believe me, somebody's going on vacation, someone's getting sick, and I just want to, well, it's in my head, best wishes for Officer Panage for a speedy recovery. But I think that when you look at it, if we had 3 more officers, would we not have spent this overtime? Well, if we had 3 more officers and it cost $50,000 an officer, it's $150,000 you were paying them. And our overtime is less than that. So I think you have to look at what you would have paid to have a full complement versus the overtime. We'd like to get the overtime down, obviously, and we'd like to get more police on the streets, obviously, and that's what we're gonna work on for next year. And in terms of the water park, I kind of disagreed with the mayor, and then my wife kind of slapped me around and said, we need a water park. So somebody get some numbers and see where we would do it and see if it's reasonable. So, you know, I got to answer to the boss sometimes. Okay, thank you and have a nice month.
Two female.
Huh?
Mr. Alco.
First, I want to thank George Kawadi for videotaping all of our meetings for the past 8 months or so. George, we appreciate it. I always mean to thank you every meeting. And the way things go, sometimes it slips my mind, unfortunately. But thank you. I appreciate, the town appreciates everything you do. As far as the trees go in Saddle Brook, if we could have maybe Mike Calderon go around and do an assessment of the trees, or have the DPW do it. Don't we also have an agreement with Maywood where they come in and they bring their bucket truck and they take down the tree or the branches that are hazardous that they can handle? Otherwise, we have to bring in a tree service if it's beyond their capabilities, Mayor?
Yes.
We do, okay, so, and they have done this in the past. So I suggest if the residents have tree problems that are Saddle Brook's responsibility, naturally, we can't go onto somebody's property and cut their tree down for that. I mean, that's beyond our scope. So if you do have trees that I guess are between the curb and the sidewalk and they are causing a hazard, to let the DPW know that they're a hazard.
If anyone sees one, just like we talked about dilapidated buildings or problems with property maintenance, feel free to contact the township administrator or the mayor's office. And call and it'll be taken care of.
I want to wish Officer Panage a speedy recovery. Again, it's a tough thing he's going through. Hopefully everything turns out well on his family. And as far as the streets go, if we do improvements to roads, I'm struggling behind what Mr. Camilleri was saying. We need to do it the right way the first time. And if they need curbs, we'll put curbs in. We just need to get the pricing. Do it the right way the first time, just so you don't have to come back 3, 4 years later and redo it over. So that's all I have.
I really have nothing, no comments to say tonight. Wow. Everybody said everything. I just want to wish Officer Panage the best. And that's it, pretty much. Let's go into, I guess, closed session, right?
Whereas the Township Council of the Township of Saddle Brook desires to meet for the purpose of a closed session to discuss personnel. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act does make an exception, allows a public body to hold a closed session to discuss personnel. Therefore, be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddle Brook that the closed session will take place on August 8, 2013, at 7 o'clock p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the municipal building, be closed to the public and to the press. And the results of the discussion at the closed session will be released to the public, and the reasons for discussing an act on in closed session no longer exist.
I need a motion. Motion by Mr. Halco. Second by Mr. Camilleri. All right, I need a motion to come out of closed session.
I will make a motion to come out of closed session, now not wearing my jacket.
Mr. Samaluka, motion, second by Mr. Camilleri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You get bit by a mosquito.